Hello, in today's video we're going to stick with the FCE reading, and today I'm going to be giving you tips basically to improve your marks in this section of the test. So before we start, let's look at the facts about this part of the exam. Okay, so in this part you're going to have a standard reading passage and you're going to have 6 multiple choice questions. So you're going to have A, B, C and D. 4 options to choose from. The text itself, they're usually actually really interesting because they're extracts from a novel or perhaps an article. So they're usually quite interesting. And the other thing that's important to remember is this is an important part of the reading paper because each of these questions is worth 2 marks each. So it's not out of 6 marks, it's actually out of 12. And you do have to remember now they've put the reading and the grammar together, so it's all one paper, but this is 12 marks from that paper, so it's quite a lot. And although I've said they've put them together, please remember that you do actually get a separate grammar and a separate reading mark as well. But anyway, we'll talk about that in another video, I think. They were the facts about this part of the exam. Let's have a look at the strategies people use to deal with this part of the exam. First of all, have a look at the title. It sounds like a really obvious thing, but a lot of students miss this. The title gives you a massive clue about what the text is about. Usually as well there'll be a little intro telling you roughly what's happening in it. Read these. If there's any pictures there, in this part of the exam usually there aren't, but there might be. If there's a picture, have a look at that as well. It gives you a real clue about what the passage is going to be about. So then you've got to decide how you're going to go about doing the reading, and this really depends on your style and how you prefer to do things. Some students prefer to read through the text first, kind of quickly, to get a general idea of what the passage is about and where the answers might be, and then they go on and deal with the questions. However, other students, and this is the way I prefer to do the readings, that's just my personal preference, is first of all I read the questions, underline any key words, and then I go to the text. And every time I think I found a keyword or a synonym of the keyword, or I think I found an answer, then I go back to the questions. This is just how I prefer to do it. So you've got to really find out how you like doing it. And again, if you're reading through the text first, just make sure you're not spending too much time doing this, because time is of the essence. So let's have a look at some of the tips I can give you for boosting your marks in this section. First of all, as I said before, find a method you prefer or you get the highest marks. So in your practice tests, practice reading it and then doing the questions, and then do it the other way around. Have a look at the questions first and then go back into the text and see which way you get the highest marks, which way you have time. Obviously I think the best way is probably to read through the text, but then students really struggle with time sometimes. That's why I don't prefer this method myself. Keep an eye on the time, as I was just saying. You have 75 minutes to do the 4 parts of the grammar and 3 readings. That's not really a lot of time. And what I would suggest is you would spend, half an hour, doing the grammar, and that leaves you 45 minutes for 3 readings. Usually people can get through the grammar quicker than that, so you actually have a little bit more time than 15 minutes per reading. But again, you shouldn't be spending like half an hour doing 1 reading, because trust me, it's going to be tragic if you do. So keep an eye on the time. It's really important. Underline keywords in the questions as usual, like in the listening. and things like that, you have to underline the keywords. And remember, they probably won't use the same word. 9 out of 10 times it will be a synonym, okay? And that's what you're looking out for. Don't just look at the question, also look at the options as well and underline keywords in those. Eliminate answers. Generally speaking, the way this works, as I said before, you're going to have an A, B, C, and D. Now, usually, 2 of those answers are pretty easy to eliminate. You can read them and say, well, that's not true, it doesn't say that, it says the opposite. Oh, and this one isn't true because it doesn't mention that at all. But there's going to be 2 that are a little bit tricky. One of them is the answer, and one of them is called the distractor. They call it that on purpose because it's there to distract you, to trick you. So you have to be very, very careful. You can't just say, oh, B or C, oh, I think it's B because of that. You know, you've got to be very, very careful with what you pick between these 2 answers. And this is why I always say to my students, find the answer and underline it. Because if you're finding the answer in the text, you've got far more chance of, you know, getting it right. The other reason why you want to actually underline the answer in the text is because in the FCE exam, the answers are in order. So if you find the answer for number 1, number 2 is going to be under it. So if you find number 2, number 3 is going to be under it. It really helps you if you find and underline the answer. I have lots of students getting in touch with me and saying, oh, but do I lose marks if I don't underline the answer? The truth is, you don't have to, but you should. You should. There's no reason. The only reason why people don't like underlining the answer is because they can't find it. Simple as that. Find the answer. That's what reading is all about, pretty much. I hope this video was useful. For those FC candidates out there, you should really watch this video as well. 6 common mistakes in your FC writing. It will really give you something to think about. So, thank you very, very much for watching this video. If you have any questions about this part of the test, get in touch and I'll do my very, very best to answer them. Thank you. Bye.